What is going on, my dude? Welcome back to another episode of the podcast with the one and only Mr. Kodeation, who always fills in when I have no one else to interview.
Right.
And sometimes fills in when I do have someone to interview, depending on his schedule. What's going on, my dude?
Nothing much, man. What are you up to? I've just been chilling. Actually putting out fires last night and today.
Fires?
Well, metaphorically speaking. Came home last night and from work and had an ankle filled full of water in our basement. So that's been fun.
I thought you meant literally you had to put out a fire, and I was just thinking, I'm like, and he said he just had a flood. I'm like, they had a fire and a flood? Holy.
Yeah, dude. Oh yeah, we got the whole 9 yards, man. Oh yeah.
So you said your house flooded?
Yeah, well, I mean, just the one little section of the basement or whatever. Basically, what happened was I figured out what it is now, but our floor drain, anybody that doesn't have a basement out there, basically the floor drain sits in the basement and it normally has the floor slopes to the floor drain.
Okay.
And most people, you don't have anything running to the floor drain. Like the only thing that you would potentially have would be like what we have, where you'd have like the copper line from like the water softener, that runs like a little copper line, just kind of hangs over the drain or, goes down into the drain a little ways just to kind of put out some water. Sure. Well, we came home and basically from that floor drain where the water where the floor slopes, it was covered. So right there, it was about a little higher than ankle deep. And then basically, it fanned out from there, filled full of water just in the area. It was underneath like our washer and dryer. And, I had a sheet of drywall in there that was like half, it soaks it up. So it just pulled half the sheet of drywall all the way up, filled full of water, which is, it's gone and ruined now. But so long story short, what I ended up finding out what the problem was, I thought it was the washing machine at first when we came home. Right. Like, we keep laundry running, most of the time. So I thought, okay, maybe my wife just started a little laundry and maybe the laundry, ran out or something.
Right.
Then I was like, okay, well, this is a lot more water, than what a wash machine holds. Right. So then I'm thinking that doesn't make any sense. And I had no water underneath my backside of the washing machine and dryer. And it was only like about the first front half of the wash machine out, and the water was over there. Anyways, I ended up getting to the point where scooping all the water up with an ice cream bucket, putting it into my outside garage trash can that I brought inside, put it all in there. And then I got it down to where the bucket wouldn't let me scoop much of it up anymore. So then I went and got my shop vac and found out that I can take out my filters off my shop vac and actually use it to suck up water. So I did that. Okay. And then that allowed me to get all the water out, every single thing out, the standing water, and then put a industrial fan on it and dry it. Yeah. And then from there it was process of elimination. Then I ran a load of laundry, washed it really quick, you know what I mean? And it drained. And so no water leaked underneath the thing, but where our house is completely rigged. But the way they have our washer ran, they didn't run the washer drain line into the actual drain of the house, like the full stack that goes down. Instead, it runs into a hose and then into a sink that's down there, like a big sink, and it basically drains from that sink down. That's how they ran it instead of, messing with the full drain pipe in the house.
Wait, and what was that for?
My wash machine.
Your washing machine. Okay.
So
it went into a utility tub in like your basement.
Correct. Exactly. And but it's supposed to be hooked up to the actual drain line,
that goes,
if you've got a 2-story house or whatever. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it wasn't like that. Ever since we moved in, they just had a pipe, or a hose connected to the back of the wash machine that basically, created a trap, right? Like a U, and then it was like basically zip tied to the side of this utility sink, and then it would just drain in there. So it did that. It did the draining. The sink filled up, right? It drained out of the sink. All of a sudden, the water started coming back from my floor drain.
Okay.
So then as soon as that happened, I'm like, okay, so it's not the washing machine, it's the floor drain not draining, right? From there's got to be something stuck or something, clogged from the floor drain to the road, like to the sewer or something. I don't know. So that happened. So then I once again repeated the process, did all, soaked up all the water, from that one little load, which wasn't nowhere near as much as it was before, cleaned all that up. Then I went upstairs, flushed the toilet, boom, it flushed, the clean water, not the shit water, but the clean water came back up that drain. And I'm like, what the is going on? So at that point I had no other choice. So I had to call. Yeah.
What
so
do
I
you
had to
mean the
go.
clean water?
There was no like shit or pee or anything in it. Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is it wasn't sewage water that was backing back up. Like, it was clear water. It didn't smell. There was no nasty water coming up from it. It was just the water
but
that we were
is your
putting in.
sewage, right?
No. So you got two different ways, I guess, two different things. You've got a whole bunch of drains from your house, from anything you use in the home. And then you've got from my understanding, you've got a separate like line for actual sewage in a city. Like, I guess it's different if you
really?
might live.
Huh.
Well, that's what the lady told me on the phone, because she asked me, is it sewage water or is it fresh water? And I said, I think it's fresh. And she's like, well, do you have like poop in there floating around and it smells terrible and horrible and like discolored and stuff? I'm like, no. She's like, okay, so that's fresh water. So it has something to do with your drain not draining your water lines, that run to your drain. And I was like, okay. So anyways, long story short, I pay for the city insurance, for my water lines, you know what I mean? So they called somebody. This was at, I don't even know, 8 o'clock at night, 9 o'clock at night. So they sent it out to a contractor. I didn't hear anything, all night long. And I just gave up. I was just like, okay, whatever. They'll just call me in the morning. So then I just told my boss what was going on, worked from home today. And then I instantly, they called me about 9:30 this morning. I swear they look like kids. 2 kids showed up in a plumber's van and was like,
you're just getting old, brother.
Right. Clearly. Yeah, exactly. 2 kids showed up and they're like, all right, sounds good. we're going to go down there and check it out. So they walked down there. I show them everything, what's going on. And by now we, overnight we didn't have any standing water, because I cleaned all that shit up.
You don't have a snake in your house?
What kind of a snake? Like a big ass snake like they had? No. I mean, I've got like
I don't know what fucking kind they have. I mean,
the only
like
one
it's
that
like
I've
in
got,
a roll. It like rolls up and the metal comes out. So it's like maybe like, I don't know, 25 feet long or something.
Yeah, nope. I don't have one of those. No,
you gotta get yourself a snake.
But why would I need one?
So then you don't have to pay for house insurance or.
I mean, I agree.
How much is city insurance a month?
$7 on my water bill. It's on my water bill.
It's pretty cheap.
Yeah, but think about it realistically. Anyways, long story short, they showed up and he had like this big thing. It was like, big enough to be like on a pressure washer. It was like on its own little stand push thing. So
those are huge.
Yeah,
aren't
so
those
he wheels
like
that
motorized
sucker.
And shit or something?
It's all motorized. Yeah. So
yeah,
he rolls it down the stairs, hooks the thing up or whatever. It's got this big giant, auger looking head, head on it, you know what I mean? And he hooks all this thing up. Took him 15 minutes, hit the button and it just started pushing out more and more and more and more line, pushing more and more line. It would stop for, like the line would stop running for a while. I'm assuming when you got to a clog or something, and then it would just take care of it and do it, everything. Moral of the story is I found out what caused it on my own. So what caused it is last Saturday, the pipe that runs into our main stack from our tub, it's like a 5.5 foot pipe. Well, when we first moved in, ever since then, 2.5 years ago, our tub is never drained like great, meaning like you would give our son a bath and that water, it would be 2 hours before that water would ever drain out of that tub. And
you
so
ever put Drano down it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
okay,
Yeah. So I put Drano down it, and I also, I'm like, again, I've got a snake, a little plastic, teeth looking snake,
that
that's
comes
like this
with
far.
The Drano.
Yeah. So I got one of those, so, and I, again, from what I could read, everything, was, it was clean. There was nothing wrong with it. Right. Anyways, so long story short, it never drained very well. Well, it was like last week, I don't know, Tuesday or something like that. We gave my son a bath in the evening. My wife got up in the morning and the water was still sitting in there. Nothing was draining whatsoever. So I did the couple things that I could do and didn't work. Tried, blocking, plug in the vent, doing the plunger route, to try to see if I can force additional air down there to get it, to push. Nothing. It just wasn't draining. So then at that point, I just talked to my dad and he was like, well, since you've moved in, have you ever cleaned out that trap? And I was like, no, I've never done it before in my life. So
never cleaned out a trap in anything.
Right. Yeah. Right.
I mean,
exactly.
I have, but...
So I never have. So then I was like, all right, cool. Let's try it. So I went down there, FaceTime my dad and was like, all right, so you're telling me I could just pull these two, things off, like I do underneath the sink. Looked at it. Mine's all glued. There is no, piece to unscrew off.
Yeah.
And yeah. Oh, yeah. It just looked rigged. So the tub that we've got is the original tub for the house. It's like a cast iron tub.
Okay.
And the people that bought the house right before us bought it in 2016. and they were only here for 2 years, and they just flipped it. That's all they did. They lived in it, and then they just flipped, like did minor repairs, and then flipped it to make some quick money. And you can tell that because everything they did in the house is very like Jimmy rigged. It's just very, like not properly done. They didn't hire, nothing like that. They just kind of did what they had to do, bare minimum. So anyways, so the drain ventilation pipe comes down, gets to where the trap goes, where the trap is itself is glued, okay, on the one side. The trap comes around, and then there's like a 45 or a 90-degree angle, okay, that's glued on to the trap piece. And then there's a banjo boot because the pipe that's down there is galvanized steel for 6 foot into the stack, the main stack. So I was able to take the banjo, fitting off, right? And then I was able to take the vertical pipe down. So I had this whole, whole piece. Yeah. So I took it down, not knowing what I was doing, talking to my dad on the phone, him on the speakerphone over here in the corner, trying to watch me do this stuff. I've got the trash can from the garage pulled up, sitting on a chair. Well, like an idiot, I pulled that banjo fitting off. And when I pulled the banjo fitting off, because the tub was completely full of water, I pulled the banjo fitting off. And I knew that the water was going to come out, right? But I wasn't thinking in terms of like direction. So I had the big trash can sitting about a foot below the pipe.
But you're
right. Yeah, but it's pointing this way. So like as soon as I pull the banjo fitting off, dude, the water comes straight out this direction, straight onto my basement floor, right? Listen to this craziness. The black nasty water from the galvanized pipe is going this way. So that shot the nasty water on the floor over here, and I'm shooting water from my tub over here, and the trash can is doing absolutely nothing in the dead center. And at this point, my wife was like, "Yep, I'm going upstairs. See you later." And I was like, "Thanks." So yeah, hold on one second. My wife is calling me.
We interrupt this broadly scheduled podcast for a phone call from the wife of Mr. Kodeation.
Sometimes, dude, the calls are the most pointless calls that I've ever had in my life, dude. She told me absolutely nothing. You're recording a podcast right now? Yeah, right now. So I don't have to do it, other time or try to find other time to do it. Like right now while you're on the phone with me? Yes, I've got you muted. Yes, the recording is still going. Oh, okay. So are you going to work on your truck or anything tonight? Sure. I was going to either do that or mow the grass. Ooh, you should mow the grass instead. Okay, sounds good. All right, I love you. Bye. Like, I just don't know. Okay, sure.
My wife would do that too. She'll call and she'll be like, I'll be like I'd be heading home or something. She knows I'm heading home, so I'm going to be there in 15 minutes, but she'll call me because I'm in the car. She'll be like, hey, I'm thinking about making tacos tonight. I'm like, okay. All right. I just wanted to let you know. I'm like, okay. I'm glad you reached that decision. Like it would be different. It's like, hey, I think I'm making tacos tonight. Does that do you mind? Is there something else you prefer? It's just like, it's none of that. It's just, hey, I'm calling to let you know I decided to make tacos tonight.
Right.
It's like,
right.
Okay.
It's like, hey, tonight, I know you're on the way home on tonight. We're just going to make some tacos. All right. Talk to you later. Bye. Okay. So I had water going both directions basically. And it was just a mess. And so what ended up happening with that whole side of everything is that 6-foot galvanized pipe that goes into the stack, right, was completely solid besides a whole size of a dime.
Wow.
And I could not do anything with it. I tried using like a box cutter. I tried, using like a
box cutter for what?
No, listen, to chip away at, that crap inside this pipe, like it was rock solid. When I say it's like hard, it was like chipping,
I get that,
get it off.
But what you're describing in no way, shape or form would I think to myself, hey, the tool I should use here is a utility knife.
No. I was just telling you what I used. I'm not saying that was my first thought process. That was just what I had right there. Like I had, a box cutter, a couple, screwdrivers, I just tried to use things that, I could potentially remove debris with, and it just was not working. So anyways, it was just rock solid.
I'm completely shocked that the box cutter didn't work.
So right, you should be. So the other piece, the whole, 45 or 90 degree trap, 10 inch, whatever, vertical pipe piece, that I had, for my trap was also completely solid. So the difference is it was PVC. So I was able to, take that outside and just blow it out with a hose, and clean it the best that I could. Right. And I got it as good as I could get it. I didn't have anything like a bottle brush or anything, to kind of get further down, like all the way down in there. So I could just get what I could with the water. But anyways, got that. Put it all back together for that night because there's nothing else that I can do. So I just put it back together. Boom. It was at least enough. We put some water in the tub. It was at least enough for the first time we actually could hear the tub draining water. Like it had like a little tornado, above the drain, like pulling water out. And it was great. But then like talking to my dad that night, he was like, cause I had said, should I just call like Roto-Rooter or like, call one of these, drain plumbing companies to come, and clean out that 6-foot, pipe.
Right.
And my dad was like, it would probably be way cheaper for me to come up on Saturday before Cohen's birthday party, and we just go to Menards and pick up a brand new PVC pipe and just replace that.
I was gonna say, why wouldn't you just
I was like, okay, perfect, let's do that. So that's what we did on Saturday. So wrapping this all back into the same story, my theory is me replacing that pipe. Yes, 100%. Yes, all these UFOs, they're leaving my house every night. Yes. So essentially my theory is putting that new pipe, that 6-foot, pipe that's clear, that had no debris, nothing in it in there, put way more water pressure, right? Like, than my system, has had in a long time. Okay. Right. So my theory is because of that, it's putting a lot more of that water pressure in there, whatever debris or anything that could have been clogged, like in that, stack right there or whatever, it could have pushed that somewhere else further down the line, then blocking where my floor drain was supposed to be draining. Yeah, that's my theory, because nothing else has changed. Like nothing's went down the drain. There was nothing. A lot of times,
like, I guess like depending on the age of your thing and stuff, you can get like tree roots that'll grow into your drain going to the road. And like, so,
which I guess could work, but like, why would it just all of a sudden over like one night just make a difference? Like, would it grow that much to cause a block? I mean, I guess I don't know. I don't
know, but I know it happens, like, for sure. So
right.
Something has happened that at some point, like, boom, you just can't fucking.
Right. I'm just trying to connect the dots based on, because that was the only thing I've done with drain, the drain stuff. Was just, I added in that new line that was not blocked or anything. And I don't know, that's kind of what my thought process was, going from a dime size hole that it had, to filter water through, to now a full 2-inch, or an 1.5 inch, pipe. I'm thinking,
or maybe when you were undoing all those pipes and everything, you knocked a chunk of the crap out of there and it went into the main drain and clogged the main drain.
Yep. Which could be. I don't know. All I know is that we got it fixed, but then our basement flooded on that one side. And then I was like, are you freaking kidding me? No, on that side, it was the unfinished part of the basement, which is the beauty of it. It wasn't enough.
Did all that over
just
there.
On the other side. Yep. And that's why my wife was freaking out. The best part about it though is that room is on the other side. And then in between that room that we had finished, or that third of a basement that we had finished, there's also the stairs, and underneath the stairs is not finished, but that's just, a little closet area. And then we've got that where that drain is. So, it wasn't enough water. We don't even know if we have plans to stay in this house, I guess, to finish the rest of it.
Ooh, when did that start?
Well, we've always
big
talked
YouTube
about it.
money on top of you. You're like, we got to get to a better. Wish. We're going to those 300K houses, babe.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Gated
we're not buying
community.
Anytime soon. And we're definitely not buying anytime soon. But no, I don't know. Like it's just been, we kind of talked about it from the very beginning, like of us moving in here, she wants to always live she wanted to live in a smaller town. She doesn't want to live in, inner city. She wants to live more, outside of town, or outside of the city, but she doesn't want to live, too far from, from her job, or whatever, so I get it. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I mean, realistically, do I think we're going to be here for another 5 years? Yes, I do. And the reason why I think so is because, like, we're not actively, setting this plan and action and working on it. Right. It's more of like, we're just putting the same amount of money per month into our savings, and we're just, making what we have here work, and it's just for whatever reason, anytime I ever bring up, those big, like renovation project stuff or whatever, she's always more hesitant on like, well, we don't really need that. No, we don't really need that. And I'm like, but it's going to increase the value of our home. It's going to make it, resale value go up and all this other stuff. And then she's like, yeah, but it's also more money we got to pay out of our pocket. So we don't know how long we're going to be here. So we're fine. And I'm like, okay. So it's kind of a checks and balance thing, I guess, but we'll see.
Yeah, I get it. Cause me and the wife, we're the same way. We bought this house with when we originally bought the house we're in now, I'm probably more like your wife. It sounds like I'm just guessing. Obviously, I could be way off, but I don't like living in a city. I like living right outside of a city. Like I like being near a city though. Like I don't like being way out in the country, and not even suburbs. I like just a touch, like small town, probably like your wife.
Yeah, yep. Just like kind of like right town. Outside of the city, but yet close enough that you want to go to the city for tonight. You go to the city, and then if you want to go home, you go home. But you're not living the city life.
Yeah, like Cleveland's like 40. The big city by me, 45 minutes away. So it's a little bit of a drive. But if you want to go out on a Friday night, that's not a big deal to drive 45 minutes.
Correct.
So we talked about, because when we bought this house, we talked about it being like our forever home, because I'm pretty basic in the fact like I don't need a lot.
Right.
Like I don't care about like renovating kitchens or anything like that. I'm fine with what we have. It's like, to me, it's more like something breaks, we got to repair it. And my repairs are always like, my thought process isn't like, how do I make this like super nice and fancy, or how do I do this as cheap as possible?
Yours is probably the most efficient.
Yeah, I'm very efficient driven. So I'm like, just like my tech reviews, what's the best bang for the buck? What's going to give me the best value for my dollar? And that's how I look at it when I'm doing any of that stuff. So to me, it's almost like something breaks, we fix it. Maybe it's better than what was here. But maybe not.
Is it? But is it? Yeah, right. But is it the most luxurious thing? No, it's just you're going for, it serves the purpose. It's cost efficient. But yeah, is it probably going to be better and upgraded than what you had before? Yeah, more than likely.
Right. Just because of technology, like things increase
and age. Yeah,
right. Age and all that. So we kind of do that. But then lately we've been talking about, we're like, because we did want to add on. The only thing we do want to do is add on 2 additional bedrooms. The house has only 2 bedrooms right now. So my wife and I are in 1 bedroom, and our 2 kids
are in the other one. Yep. And eventually your kids will get old enough that you'll probably want to separate them.
Exactly. It's not a big deal because my daughter, she's 10, but the son's only 2. We just turned 3 the other day. But so we want to add on 2 additional rooms. But now even we're like, oh, should we do it because we really want to stay here? Like you just start to, I don't know what it is, because this house could be fine for everything we need, honestly. But it's just like, there's something in you that makes you just like, it's like, oh, it would be nice to get a little bit better of a house. Like as you make more money, you're like
sure,
as investments do better and better, or in your case, like you have a YouTube channel that's not like, it's like you do sit there and you're like, man, it would be nice just to buy something a little nicer,
but
a little bit nicer of a neighborhood.
But I also think there's also the other side of it too. Like not even like something like that mindset of like, it would be nice to get something nicer. Sometimes I think it's just the change. I think sometimes, it's the thought of like something different, right? Like you've done something for so long, or, you've lived in the house for so long, right? Like I think just the idea of you could find something or live somewhere else that isn't what you're normally used to every single day. You know what I mean? Maybe it's not nicer, or maybe it's not, grand, and all this other stuff, but it still would be something different that I think sometimes that just sparks people's curiosity too.
Yeah,
like,
maybe
like you don't want to put this money
like
in
adventure, like new adventure.
Yeah, kind of the same sense of that.
That's
kinda.
Like the word coming to mind. So let me ask this, because now that we're just randomly talking about shit. This
Welcome to the podcast episode. Just completely randomness today.
Listen, that's what these podcasts are becoming. So because your schedule is super busy and mine is super busy. My main YouTube channel has always been the focus, which is now 4 channels because of you. Because of all of our
me.
No, it is 100%. Because you're like, gotta niche down. All right, fine. I'll niche down.
Yep. Watch this, dude. I'm telling you, this year, next year, you're going to be freaking huge.
Dude, hopefully. I mean,
you're going to have all 4 channels pop off, man. It's going to be ridiculous.
Oh my God. I don't know about all that. But anyways, because of being busy and everything, my thought, and because you can't do every single podcast, and I don't always want to wait. I don't want to have 1 podcast episode a month at all times. So, I'm also setting up podcasts, or trying to, with people that you might not be in or whatever, which we've talked about. Where I just do one with somebody when I can record it or something, or if you are able to be there, cool. So my question, do you think everybody has that sense of desire of for adventure? Here's the reason I ask. I guess let me be more personal. I get bored very easily with everything, dude. Like no, like all the time. Like I get, I do NFTs for a while. I get bored of NFTs. I've never found something that ever like has 100% kept my interest. And I always say, I think the reason for that is because of that, like adventure. Like, I love to do like road trips and stuff where I just, like I did the Route 66 with my daughter a couple months ago or whatever. There was like no plans to that road trip. Besides, we want to drive Route 66. Like we had no ideas where we were stopping. We didn't know what city we were stopping in each night. Nothing like that. We just knew we were going. We knew some major points we wanted to hit, and then boom, get in the car and go. And I like that. I like that like adventure stuff. I like that. Do you think everybody has that to some degree? Or do you think some people just don't care and they like I don't want to say mundane life because I don't mean it in a negative way. I would honestly say pleasant to have a mundane life because for me it's impossible.
Yeah, but see for me I feel like the answer, just based on knowing my wife, I feel like the answer would be no. I don't think everybody's that way, because I truly believe my wife's not that way. She is not a doer in the sense of like, anything outside of the norm. And she's not a person to go outside of her comfort zone for anything for the most part. I think that's why we work so well together, as a pair, is because I'm the complete opposite of that. The things that we get into and the stuff that we do is typically, starting with me, where I'm, coming up with the idea or coming up with the sense of this adventure, or this thing, and then she's normally like, yay or nay type of thing, or sure, and then we kind of, jump in there, and do whatever that thing is. Now, does she enjoy it? Sure. But she's very much like just satisfied, like across the board, like her needs are met. It's hard to explain this without it sounding negative. The only words that I know how to use, it's the words that I'm going to use now, but that's what I'm trying to get at. Is like, it sounds negative, but I don't mean it this way, but you kind of hopefully you understand. There's no sense or desire, it seems, to make things better than what they currently are. Does that make sense? So for instance, our house here, right? Like I am all the time, and this could be just maybe side effects from ADHD, but I am all the time like talking and planning projects. Like I'm all the time like, these windows are super old, they've got a lot of air, around them and stuff, and it's not so much efficiency. It's more like in my brain, I think that like, it'd be nice. It'll be nice to, put in some windows, we want to clean these bad boys, we, click them, click the top down, and clean them, and boom, put them back up. They'll be nice and, upgraded. They'll look good. Or I'm the person that, I'm outside. It's like, my whole flower, our whole, not flower bed, but our mulch bed in front of our house, has never been taken care of, besides, me mowing the grass and, throwing the mulch back in, or whatever. It's like, I'd love to just, rake all this stuff out, buy, rock and put rock in here, make it look really, I'm always coming up with this stuff. And I'm just using this as an example. This is just a small thing about house stuff, but she has zero desire. Like she doesn't care. Like the house works. It's here. It serves its purpose. Right? Like in her mind, like she would never come up with those ideas on her own. Like if I never said anything, nothing would ever change. Like about the house, for instance, like using that as an example, like she's fine coming home, sitting on the same couch, sitting on the same stuff. Like, anytime we've ever bought furniture, like that was my idea. It was like, I want to get a new couch. Like not because we, holes and shabby, and stains everywhere, but it was like, well, this one's kind of worn down, when you sit here, your butt can kind of feel this piece, these spring piece or whatever, I kind of, it's just a worn down couch. I want to get a new one. It took convincing, get her to like, okay, yeah, I guess, sure. Let's just do it. We got the money, sure. Let's do it. Otherwise she would just be fine with that couch until she absolutely needed to replace it. You know what I'm saying? Like it's that, again, it's not a negative mindset.
Is it only house stuff? Like, does she have anything where she's interested in seeing it, I guess, improve?
Give me an example.
I don't know an example.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's hard to envision.
Being a better mom. Like, do you ever see her
but how do you improve that though?
What do you mean how? Reading maybe parenting books or watching a documentary on kids, or
I mean,
a lot of women read that book, What to Expect When Expecting, or whatever it's called.
Well, she read that when she had her first kid, but she doesn't read that all the time.
Well, why would you read the same book all the time?
No, I know, but I'm thinking in terms of like, okay, like sure, like
does she watch YouTube videos, like parenting YouTube videos that like
no,
or not YouTube? I mean, we're into YouTube, so I'm saying YouTube, but anything. I'm just
No, I mean, not
wondering
that
if she doesn't
not that I
have
know
that
of.
in anywhere, if it's just not in the same stuff as you. Does that make sense?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think so. I mean, she's
Yeah.
a full-time teacher, you know what I mean? So she goes and she does everything with her classroom and stuff. And I know that she, is working on her master's degree and stuff. So, I mean, I know she's making herself a better teacher, utilizing that and that stuff. But like, I was just meaning and referring to like, I think ordinary everyday things. Like,
well, no, the reason I
me,
asked, let me say reason why I asked real quick is because you also said that she seemed content with everything. And this is the question I have is
Yep.
if you're content with life and where
Mhm.
you're at or whatever, does that mean you can still improve on stuff like how we do, for example, how in our brains we're thinking we can improve this, we can make it look nicer, or even improvement in efficiency. Either way,
Right.
aesthetic, efficiency, just improvement. We're looking for that improvement.
Yep.
Whereas she may have, she sounds like my wife, where it's kind of like content, but they still are striving for improvement in areas. Maybe they don't do it for everything. I don't know the extent that I do it for everything or not, to be honest. I guess I've not thought of that. But my question is, so like, and you say like, oh, I don't want it to sound negative. And my question is, or the thing I think about is the way I do it the negative way?
I don't know. I mean,
because
I don't
do people like me and you, are we missing the contentment side of things, thinking that if we allow ourselves to be content with things where they currently are, then you're somehow then not
burdened by trying to make things better, or the stress of making things better, or the anxiety, that kind of stuff. I mean, like,
right. Well,
I don't
obviously
know.
that would be the benefit of that, of then not being bothered by the anxiety.
But I get where you're going with
removing the negative of it.
I think you can look at it both ways. I mean, for me, I don't know, because here's the thing. Like, for me, like, I've always looked at it as kind of like a positive, right? Like, to always kind of be driven by like wanting to do better, make things better, again, no matter what that is, in part of, whether it's going to be fancier stuff or more efficient stuff or getting more things done in the same amount of allotted time, whatever it is. Like, I've always felt like that drive is kind of what kind of gave me like motivation, right? Like, that drive kind of, constantly keeps me on my feet and doing stuff and pushing. However, I will also agree with you though, with one of the statements you said about missing out on the content side of things. And that's because that's 100% true. Like, I think I use you and, a couple other people like most of the time, like as a checks and balance system, because like, I don't ever stop to think like what I've achieved, or what I've already accomplished, or how much I've already done. Like, in my brain, I'm constantly telling myself it's not enough. It's not where I want to be, but where I want to be is out of sight. Because of that, yeah, there's 100%. Yeah, I would 100% agree that I miss out on the now a lot of times because I don't take in what I have. Again, there's a lot of times where my brain is never here right now. My brain is thinking all the time about what I need to do next, how I can do it, better, next, how I'm going to fit in X, Y, and Z, what's tomorrow looking like. That's kind of what I'm always living there, and I'm never living here. And that's what happens a lot of times where I just talk to you or talk to other people and, about, we're just going to use YouTube, for example. And, what is your response every single time? Your response is, dude, you've been killing it. Or dude, you've already done, you've already achieved X, Y, and Z. You should be, happy or thankful for what you've achieved. Obviously still focus on what you want, but like, you also got to see that. But that's because I don't, I never see that. I never look at that. I never focus on, oh, I've achieved this many subscribers, or my videos are getting this many views, right? Compared to people who don't get these views, right? Or what I used to get. So I've made this far, you know what I'm saying? But I never look at that. I'm always like,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, I was gonna let you go.
So I mean, like, what do you think? So like, okay, so you said the negative is that you're never content.
Right.
So what do you think is the negative if we do it the other way? Like your wife's side. What do you think is the negative on that side?
I think well, I don't know. Because I guess, I don't know, because I guess asking that question is hard for me to envision because that's not how my brain functions, right? So like, I would like to say from my perspective where I'm at right now in my brain, it would be easy for me to say, oh, well, they're not as efficient of getting things done, or they're not as motivation, or they're not getting as many things done that they possibly could, or utilizing their time to their, maximum efficiency type of thing. But again, I'm looking at that with this brain. Right. I'm not them. if you're a brain, I guess I thought you assume that your brain would be completely content, then maybe you wouldn't be looking at it as a waste of time or whatever, because you're content. So I guess, I don't know, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to really picture, to picture that situation. I think it kind of, branching this topic out a little bit, I think it kind of goes hand in hand with people that, are always chasing money, and always looking for the next best thing. But then you've got the people who have their basic needs met, but yet they seem to be the happiest people on earth. They don't have millions and millions of dollars, or they don't have, some people don't even have a car, they don't have whatever, but they seem to be the happiest, chill, going people. Are they winning at life? Or are the people who are constantly stressed out and anxious, but yet, they've got 5 cars and, and 6 kids and, a wife, and, they've got, 2 houses and a beach, take 2 vacations a year. Like, who's winning, but they don't seem happy. You talk to them, they never seem happy. But this other person who, he's got, 1 car to his name and maybe, a house, and he's got his basic stuff met, but he's happy go lucky 24/7. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of like, to broaden that, it's kind of the same principle, I feel like.
So I guess my question though is you said, like, the negative on that side that you would see if you thought about it, or even from your brain currently where it's at, is that they're not accomplishing as much, or they're not as efficient with their time or whatever. And I guess
they could be, and everybody's could be, as everybody's could be is different. Yeah.
Right. But again, would that not just be a symptom of perfectionism? Because if I asked you, who's someone who is more productive probably than someone like that might be a little more content in life, would you not still say that you could be more productive?
What do you mean?
I'll use myself as an example. So like myself, like if I'm more productive than your wife or my wife, or we're using wives example, but if our wives happen to listen to this, I don't mean my wives at all. I don't know who's
my wife won't listen to it.
More productive to me than me, but like, I'm just saying, like, when you're thinking of it like that, like, oh, I'm more productive with my time. Do you actually feel like you're more productive with your time? Because I always feel like no matter how productive I get, no matter how efficient I get, like I do things like I keep a to-do list every day, and I like jot down things that I got to do, and I keep track of it, and I stay focused on task. And like, maybe my numbers don't necessarily always grow the best because I might not be the best at creating content that brings in numbers, but like, I'm efficient. My time's efficient. I'm producing content. I'm producing good content. Like, you can see that there's hours going into this side business, as well as hours that I put into normal work, family, all that.
Right.
But I never think to myself like, oh yeah, I'm more efficient than I always think I'm never efficient enough.
Yeah.
Like, that's always the driving force is, no, I'm not efficient enough. I can logically think like, wait a minute, most people don't do to-do lists and vision boards and jotting out 5-year goals. And,
I don't do
stocks and savings and
right. But I'm the same way as you though. No. I'm never comparing myself to my wife in the sense of like, feel like I do more, or that, I'm way more efficient. No, I'm the same as you, where my mindset, it's never enough. Like there's so many times where I'm so frustrated, where like last night was one of those, those times where I had everything planned out, like I was coming home, right after work, hanging out, doing the family stuff, and then right after we put my son down, my brain was, boom, video, second thing live on Twitch, playing, V-Rising, that brand new survival game, right? Like that was my plan. But the moment the basement flooded, then, then spending all the time to have to clean up all of the water, then spending the time calling the insurance company twice, then doing all of that put me, past 9 o'clock, no video recorded, no nothing, right? Like my brain instantly goes into hyperdrive, and then I'm sitting here trying to record a video, the editing, or the recording isn't going well, right? Like what should have reasonably in my mind took me 45 minutes to an hour to record, takes me, an hour and a half or whatever, to record. A lot of mess ups, I'm just struggling, right, to record, the video, getting frustrated, and then finally, like talking to my wife, I went in there, and she was going to bed, and it's like 10 something, and I'm just like so beyond frustrated, and she's like, what's going on? And I just start venting to her, and it's just like, it's never enough. Like it's never enough. Like, like I just feel like, I'm doing everything I possibly can, with my time, stretching every single tiny, minute. And when something, when there's a wrench that's thrown, there's never enough time. Again, it's just, no, I'm the same as you. I don't think that I ever look at myself as being maximum efficiency. I'm not maximum efficiency. I know I'm not. I know there's several things that I could be doing, additionally, You know what I mean? That in the moment I decide not to do, for either self-gratification or trying to live in that content, in the moment thing too, that in my brain, I would otherwise not do those things. Speaking of the
in the office bathroom.
Speaking
no
of
self-gratification.
right. Speaking of the family thing, the truth of the matter is though, man, is like, I think psychologically, I've talked to my wife about this recently, like, I don't know, I'm gonna say like 2 months ago at the least, but like we had a conversation one night because it was just kind of sitting on me and I was talking about YouTube, talking about all the things that I want to do, my 40-hour week job, all this stuff. And the truth of it is like, I told her, what's crazy is that all I think about 24/7 is making more content, making more videos. That's it. I'm not excited to come home and cook dinner and eat dinner with you and hang out with Cohen and play with you guys outside. Do I enjoy that time? Sure, I do. But my brain is most of the time not in that. And she's like, what do you mean? And I'm like, if I'm playing with my son outside or playing with toys with him and we're playing cars or doing trains, my brain is the entire time thinking about the next update for the game or the things that I wanted to do or the video that I'm going to record that night. And like literally mentally practicing what I'm going to say and what I'm going to cover and all the time. That's what I tried to explain to her.
That's hard to admit to yourself, I think.
Right. But it's 100% true.
To even admit to your spouse. I mean, how does she handle that?
Well, I mean, at first, she was kind of taken off guard, right? Because the way I was explaining it, you know what I mean? Like it the wording that I was using and how I was saying, sounded like I didn't give a shit about, them, which it sounds really terrible, but it's not so much I don't care about them. It's just, I just want this so bad.
Can't stop
I'm just so passionate. I'm just so passionate about this one thing. And realistically, I'm just going to have to quit my day job. That's just what's going to happen. Like, I know everybody says, wait till you get this or do this first or wait, you'll know when the time is right but at the end of the day, like, I don't think it's going to come. And what I mean by that is because I don't think that I'm ever going to get to a point where I've got enough money saved up for my YouTube stuff. You mean, just bought me for 6 months to make a difference in my mind versus if I stopped and quit my day job tomorrow, I would then know in my mind that what's worst case scenario? I go and get a job. Worst case scenario, you mean, like I go work at Target, for $23 an hour. Like, sure, do I want to do that? Not really. But worst case scenario, I would never let my family go without, and I would need that money to pay my bills and feed my family, right? So like, I would just make it work.
I get what you're saying completely, dude. So let me offer one big warning on this thought process. First, let me explain that I understand exactly what you're talking about, because that's my problem too. Listen, dude, when I'm playing with my son, because I force myself to have time with my kids every day. And when I say I force myself, like, since you're being honest here, we'll all be honest here on the podcast today. Yep. I mean, I force myself. And again, not because I love hanging out with my son. The problem is I can't stop my brain, whether it's my ADHD, ADD, whatever the one I had, whatever that is, or whatever causes it, or whether it's just that I just love making videos that much. It's literally all I think about 24/7, dude. I start to build a Lego set with my kids and I'm like, I can make a YouTube channel about building Legos with my kids.
Right. Correct.
Or it's like, I'm out doing DoorDash and I'm like, I could start a DoorDash channel now too. That would only be 5 channels. I can keep up with 5 channels. Like, it's just stupid. Like, everything I do, I'm like, like I'm driving in a thunderstorm and I'm like, I could do an ambiance, go to sleep, driving in a thunderstorm. So I go out and I bought binaural microphones that go in your ears with a stabilized thing for the car, so you can drive down the road and have stable footage that's not shaky or anything, with binaural, so it sounds like you're there in the car in a thunderstorm drive. I'm like, that would be a cool. Like, my brain doesn't it switches subjects a lot.
Well, right.
Binaural recordings of rainstorms to NFTs, but like, it's always just like, make videos. Like, that's all. It's like, let's make videos. Let's make a video about this. Let's make a video. But here's the warning thing about specifically what you were saying. You have to be careful, because it's easy to say, well, the worst that would happen is I would just go get a job at Target for $23 an hour.
Right.
But the truth is, going and having to get a job at Target for $23 an hour could actually be a horrible thing for you, and you're just not actually thinking about it.
Well, why would you
And
say
what
that?
I mean by that is, the worst that could happen could actually be pretty bad. Let's put it this way. Right now, with the job you have, it's pretty cake. If your bosses watch this, sorry, you're fired. But it's pretty cake. Most
Right.
days you're not sitting around doing a lot of shit.
Right.
You're hanging out, you do some design work for them. Then most of the time you're browsing gaming news. So you might not be able to work directly on videos and stuff, but you're still doing stuff that allows you to focus on your business.
Right.
Like research, for example,
Yep.
looking up websites, reading things about games, looking up new games that are coming out, checking in with other gaming content creators and what is working for them, what isn't working for them, etc., etc., etc. So you go get a job at Target. Will you have that same free time, or will you not, because you're doing mindless little stupid shit at Target that is eating away at your soul?
Well, it would be, yeah, it would be, but I guess to try to like,
right. But my point just is, so don't necessarily rush to get to the worst that could happen. I'm just saying, like I get everything you're saying, and I've said it before, like there does come a point where you're just gonna have to say and go for it if you're gonna go for it. Like you had to do this. I say this out of having other success, not content creation success, at least not like money wise, but like having other businesses.
Right.
Like,
no, I'm
like
with
so
you.
so I'm just saying, like, again, it's like a don't rush.
Yeah, and I'm with you.
Don't
yeah,
get too fed up too fast.
Yeah, but I'm with you, but I'm also at the same time like, but I'm at that point where like when I think of all avenues, when I think of everything, okay, yeah, what would be the perfect situation? The perfect situation would be my YouTube channel every single month is producing more money than what I bring in from my day job, right? And on top of that, the perfect storm would be I would also have, let's just say, I don't know, if I need 6,000 or not 6,000, if I need 6 months, let's just say if I wanted 6 months banked up in my YouTube channel in case if I didn't get paid for anything, that I could pay, what I make per month. So we'll say $18,000, right? So in a perfect world, right, I'd have $18,000 sitting in my YouTube account, not being touched, right? Just sitting there, right? Secondly, I would be making more money every single month from my YouTube channel consistently than what I make at my day job. Ideally, I would quit my day job in a heartbeat and I would smooth transition right into doing this full time.
Correct.
Second thing is, I think I could. I don't know if it would be fast enough for me to get my YouTube channel consistently making more money than what I make at my day job. Now, hear me out. I know YouTube's different, but like in the grand scheme of things of when I want to do it full time, meaning like, sure, would it maybe ever do it? But what are we talking, 5 more years where I would have to build my YouTube channel only putting in 20 hours a week? You see what I'm saying? Like putting in 20 hours a week. Putting to
but you went from, at least I'm guessing, maybe I'm off, but
because I know what you're gonna say. I know what you're gonna say. Well, here's the thing. I know what you're gonna say.
And you've done that in what, a year? You've been on YouTube for a year and 3 months?
No. April was the start of my 3rd year. I've been on YouTube for over 2 years now.
How long have we known? Then it's just that we've known each other.
We've known each other since prior to Genshin coming out, and Genshin came out 2 years ago, year and a half ago. So prior to that, yeah. And I didn't find you as soon as I started YouTube.
Okay, still 2 years you did the hardest part, which is get the profit.
Yeah. So here's the situation. I make right now my worst months. So January, February, and March have been all under $2,000 on YouTube. Okay. My day job a month, I bring in
That's including any
roughly
sponsorship deals and anything?
No, that's just my YouTube ad revenue.
Well, you gotta include sponsorships and shit too.
Yeah, but but that's all. That's all. I have, but it's all variable, and it's all different random times. I don't get sponsorships all the time that are coming in.
Take the last year and just divide it by 12 months and take an average of what you're getting a month from.
Yeah, but what if I go 3 months without getting a sponsorship? Then that shouldn't be I feel that shouldn't be added in.
That's why I do a year.
Okay. Anyways,
how many sponsorships you get a year? 3, 4? I don't know. Like 2?
I don't know, because last year was my first year with sponsorships. The year prior to that, my first year on YouTube, I wasn't.
I would divide it by 12 months.
Anyways, but so $2,000, let's just say, right? So my channel is sitting roughly around $2,000. The past 3 months, technically the worst months for YouTubers, last couple months was under $2,000. It was like $1,700. At the worst. But now here's my situation. My day job per month, 40 hours a week, I bring home roughly $2,600. Okay. That $2,600 is pre-insurance, pre-tax, all that shit. Okay.
Pre or you mean post? That's not gross. It's net. You're saying it's after insurance.
I think so. Let me do.
You said pre. Pre would mean before your.
Yeah. Let me add it up. Hold on. Yeah, so $2,500. So I'm banking on the check that I actually get, timesing that by 4, which then that means all that shit already came out. So I'm actually making more than that. But anyways, so let's just say $3,000 then. So $3,000 then a month is probably what I'm bringing home, right? And then paying out, my different avenues of insurance and everything else. So my situation is that I'm looking at it as if I want this to replace my full-time job, right? YouTube, roughly per week, I'm putting in, let's say 20 hours. I'm putting 40 hours of my day job in 20 hours, give or take, for YouTube.
That's not true though.
Why is that not true?
You're putting in way more than 20 hours a week into your YouTube job.
I don't think so. I think I added this up. I don't think I am.
Okay. Show me how you added it up.
Well, because if we
I'm saying let's add it up. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if we do 3 hours a day, so you would do 3 times 7 days a week, and that would be at most, which would be 21 hours. And there's normally always at least 1 day. Listen, there's normally
what time?
Huh?
What time to what time? 3
like
hours.
8 p.m. to like 10 or 11 o'clock at night. That's my typical time. Sure. Does it take me longer? Sometimes. Sure. Does it take me shorter? Sometimes. Sure. Sometimes I don't even record a video.
Sure. Okay.
So if you take that window, that's, let's just say 20 hours a week on YouTube, maybe 25. We'll round up 25. Either way, my point is I'm getting what I'm achieving in 25 hours a week.
No, incorrect.
Okay, I don't know where you're going with this.
You spend hours at your day job doing stuff for YouTube. You're not editing or recording, but there's still hours that even if you quit your day job, there are hours that go into networking. There are hours that go into business research. There are hours that go into checking out software for your company.
Which you're right, but I'm looking at the terms.
And I'm saying you're not putting in 40. I'm saying you're looking at this like I'm going to gain 40 hours by quitting my job. You're not. Maybe you'll gain 20 hours realistically.
Why wouldn't I though? Realistically, that 40 hours, I would be able to put all that back in the YouTube channel, including the research. It's the same hours. I'm either sitting at my desk job there or I'm doing it here.
Right. But you just said it. It's the same hours.
Right, but I wouldn't be doing everything I do there because I would be able to do more here. That's what I'm trying to get at. You're telling me I would be doing the same thing I'm doing there as I'm doing here. That's not true, because I would be able to use my time more efficiently to the things that I want to do or that I would like to do versus I can't do there, so I have to do those other things.
Sure, but you think
I said at my day job
full 40 hours is all I'm saying.
Sure, okay. So what? We're getting another 30 hours. Cut off 10 hours.
Okay, that still change it from 40-20 to 30-30, which is a big deal.
Either way, what I'm trying to explain to you is that would be double what I'm already putting in. So because I'm getting double the amount of time that I'm already putting in, that time right now is wasted at a job that I could use that time to put into the YouTube channel, meaning more videos, meaning more views, meaning more revenue. So in my mind, I'm looking at it in the sense of, okay, if I was to take what I'm putting in now and only ever do this, right, I'm going to get a little bit more revenue, sure, when my views increase. But if I could put in double that, then my revenue is going to further increase, thus putting me more than what I make at my day job here, basically removing the time. Does that make sense? So I'm looking at it in the sense, if I was to go full time today, in theory, in 3 months, I should be able to make way more money than what I make now on YouTube because I'm putting in more videos and more views.
I think it makes sense logically.
Yeah. You have to understand my channel.
But I don't know that doubling the amount of videos on the channel doesn't necessarily mean double the revenue.
But it does, because I've got High Rules Analytics, and that's exactly what he's done. High Roll puts in double the videos than I do per week, and his revenue is double my revenue.
But he's also getting more views.
No.
Oh, I thought he was getting
more views. Sure. He'll get more views, but that's still the same answer. Let's say he gets more views. It doesn't make a difference because if I'm putting out more videos, more views in general, I'm going to gain more revenue. Because if I put out 5 videos today, or I put out 2 videos today, and let's say each one of them get 1,000 views, I'm still getting paid more for putting out those other videos. So what
yeah,
I'm
but
trying to say,
there is a number, like there's data out there that shows, I don't know the numbers off the top of my head. I'd have to research it, which is obviously kind of hard to do as we're sitting on a podcast. But I know I've heard these numbers. There's a limit to where once you're putting so many videos on a channel, the views drastically start to drop. I know Linus Tech Tips, you know who Linus Tech Tips is, right? On YouTube. He's talked about it before, which because he's talked about why they limit how many videos, why they ended up doing different channels with different niches and stuff themselves was because part of the reason was because putting everything on.
But how many videos is he pumping out? I mean, how many is he posting? I'm not talking
on the main
about
channel, not that many, like maybe 2 a day. 3 a day?
But see that doesn't make any sense to me, because there's multiple channels right now that pump out 6-7 videos a day that are still getting massive amounts of views.
I'm not saying they're not
getting
getting massive amount of views, but you would have to look at for the day. Do the first videos in the day get way more views than the last set of videos?
It would come down to posting at the right time that's appropriately, and like engaging
it's not just
that.
a time thing, it's a
dude, nobody knows shit about YouTube. You're arguing with me, but you know zero data. Nobody fucking knows.
No, there's data on this. That's what I'm saying. There's data on.
Has YouTube confirmed it? Because it does not exist. You can look this shit up. Nobody knows a single thing. Somebody says, we noticed our revenue drop today. This person says, I talked to a YouTube partner and they told me to post 20 times a day. This person says, I never, ever do a custom thumbnail for my live streams. It's like, nobody knows shit about it. It just works for some channels, some niches, some it doesn't, some it does. You know, it just, I don't know. I
disagree with that statement. I think people know stuff about YouTube. I think where the problem lies in is when you dive into YouTube and you get to a more advanced, intermediate to advanced stage. Because once you get to a more intermediate or advanced stage, you're trying to find the needle in haystack events versus there is stuff. 90% of YouTube is already known. 90% of what is taught is stuff that you should do on YouTube. Like it's the data backs it up.
Right.
Variables change and things change on the site. So it's for
us.
But
then explain to me why.
Like, but then explain stuff doesn't make sense. And there's opposites, because when you have 90% of things correct and 10% of things wrong, the 10% of things wrong look different between each different creator. So anybody can sit and say, well, this guy doesn't do custom thumbnails on his live streams and he's making it. So that means you don't have to do custom thumbnails to make it. Yes, that's true. Well, this person makes 2-minute videos and they get millions of views. So you don't need to make videos over 2 minutes to get millions of views. Yes, that's true. But other thing that they're doing. So what you really have to say is, if you do everything exactly like that this person is doing and then make your videos 2 minutes long, you'll be successful. But it has nothing to do with that 2-minute to 10-minute video variable, if you understand what I'm saying. It has to do with everything else that they're doing. So but I guess but I'm saying when we do have data that actually backs up, where people have run data and you can see the same test, a hypothesis, it's like science. And then you have multiple people run the data. And then when multiple people are seeing that same data, we can pretty much safely assume that that's at least the norm of what YouTube likes. It doesn't mean you can't go against that norm and it be successful.
Right.
You still have to credit that would be the best way to do it, whether or not you actually end up doing it.
Correct. But there's people on the other end too that you're not mentioning, where people can follow somebody and do everything exactly the same and never become successful.
Sure.
And there's no answers for them. If a person had everything correct and they're still unsuccessful, like at all, but a person could look at their channel that's an expert in YouTube and not know why it's not working for them, what is that person supposed to do? They're just never going to be able to do anything about it.
I agree with that, but I would also argue that number is extremely small. Because if I ask anybody the question of, because everybody that throws that statement to me, if I then say, okay, who do you know in life that, let's use YouTube as an example, and you can swap it for anything, woodworking, YouTube, carpentry, veterinarian, I don't know, anything that is put in 20 years into perfecting that craft, has become an expert in that craft over 20 years. Not just did it, but actively worked to get better at it, as you're saying. Like they did everything right. So they're working hard, they're on time,
Right.
showing up, they're learning new things, they're making the connections, networking. And sure, maybe they miss a thing here or there. They don't do everything perfect. We're humans, but they give it all they got for 20 years. How many people do you know like that in life? How many do you know that hasn't made it?
But that's a loaded question. Because you can't.
I don't know that it's a loaded question.
It is because there is no way to define that. What define made it? What counts as made it? Because their version of made it is different.
I'll give you that definition. Making enough money to make a living, or making enough money to meet all basic. Actually, we'll make it real easy.
But again, the argument still would be it's all different.
Meeting all basic needs.
Correct.
Plus $500 in spending cash a month. There you go. That's the definition of made it.
Yeah, but again, though,
I mean, because what is make it? Like make it is.
But it's different
to make
for
it
every
surviving.
But it's different for every person.
I mean,
it
say okay. So
because
again, I think that's a little bit.
I want to make.
I think
it's not because it's not.
Wait,
I mean,
let me ask a question. Let me ask a question then. Let me just ask a question. So if I wanted to be a billionaire and I became a YouTuber and I worked my ass off for 20 years and I learned everything I could learn, I put in all the work and I died. And instead of $1 billion, I was only worth 500 million. Did I not make it?
No, because your dream was to be a billionaire, so you did not achieve your dream.
Well, again, I gave the definition of making it though, which I said they can't.
Well, yeah, but you're right. But I mean, but reasonably speaking, I mean, there's people out there that need $1,000 a month, and you can live off of $1,000. You can have rent for $500. I mean, you don't have to worry about a car payment. You already own your car, so all you need is enough money to pay for gas and your electricity bill, for instance. Versus me, I need $3,000 that I want to bring in, per month.
But no matter what that number is, that doesn't change the fact of how many people do you know that has done all that, and they say that they haven't met their.
There's not a lot of people that I know that have run their own businesses to achieve anything. They work a day job.
I agree.
Okay. But that's why I don't get where
where's that saying coming from? That's my point. So where's that saying? That everybody, that everybody uses that, oh, you could work all your ass off your whole life. You could do everything correct and still not make it. Where are those people at that are doing everything correct and not making it in life? Nobody seems to know one when I ask them.
I get your point, but you're picking on a phrase. I guess don't use the phrase then. I guess what I'm trying to explain is you're trying to state that there is a way or right way to do YouTube, and you're saying that in following that way, it is destined to be successful. And what I'm explaining to you is that I don't think that's the case. I don't think that people know enough about the YouTube algorithm besides maybe the people who run it, because if so, everybody would be successful. The information would be free online out there. Everybody would know it. Everybody would learn it. They would instantly be doing it. And the problem is that that's not the case. We've got people that have put in a lot of time and a lot of effort, whether that's going to be 5 hours a day or 25 hours a week. I mean, whatever it comes out to be. I'm just saying, like, my whole point to all this was saying that in my mind, in theory, the way my channel works, the more times I put out more videos, the more views that I have able to achieve, and then the more revenue I was able to pull at the end of the month. So if I was able to have more time to put out more videos, my brain at the minimal is thinking I'm going to make some additional revenue, not hundreds and hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars, but I'm saying, but I would be able to increase my revenue from YouTube. So in my mind, if I need $3,000 a month, I'm roughly at, let's say $2,000, on a bad month for YouTube. I need to come up with $1,000 per month to make my mind feel like I'm transitioning from my day job into doing YouTube. And that's my bare minimum that I have to be able to come up with $1,000 a month. So in my mind, I think, okay, what is my average revenue of a video per month, right? Going to the drawing board, looking at that. Okay, in my mind, that would tell me I need to come up with X amount of videos that at least do this amount of views in 30 days, at least to achieve that additional $1,000. That's just one avenue. Another thought process is I also get money from my affiliate link for my emulator. Okay, how much is that bringing in a month? Okay, that brings in, let's just say $300 on average. It's pretty much average right now, $300 for the past X amount of months. So if I'm averaging $300 there, now I only need $700 to meet that additional $1,000, right? That I needed to equal my work money. What I'm saying is that my mind would give me the extra time that I'm sitting at work, that I can't make videos, that I can't work on that stuff. It would give me that time to make more videos, to focus on, okay, I need to make this additional $700 or whatever it is. So then I'm not losing income. I'm able to just do this full time and maintain what I've been doing. But instead of working that job, I'm doing this now and, instead full time. And then that would also give me a little bit of time to allot for, okay, now I've got, 3 hours on this day, once a week, I can make a video for my second channel. You know what I'm saying? So then boom, once I can eventually get that second channel up to 1,000 subscribers, I can start monetizing it. Then I can make a little bit of revenue from there. Sponsorships would be another thing. Once sponsorships come in, that would also get thrown into the same pool of money for that month. It would just be banked up into the thing. And then again, my whole goal is to do this full time. But I'm not looking to do this full time as in like, I need $1 bazillion. I just needed to supplement my income from work. And that's where I was saying at the worst case scenario would be, I stop working my day job for 40 hours a week, pick up, 15 hours, go get a part-time job at a barista or Target, wherever the hell that might be, wherever I want to do it. You mean, start working 15 hours a week at this little part-time job, still giving me the additional hours, right, that I would have out of that 15 from my day job of 40 hours a week, boom, to where I would have that free time to do whatever I wanted. It would be a part-time job. I could tell them exactly, here's my schedule. I can only work these times and these times. Boom.
Sure.
But that's what I
don't disagree with any of that. At the beginning, you were talking about double videos equal double income.
No, I was
just saying no, that's not the case.
I know, I understand
because you would theoretically think that if you double videos, that means you have to double the amount of time that you record in, and I was just saying,
which would be 40 hours a week,
necessarily equal double revenue for the same amount of double time. Is all I was originally saying.
Right.
But I get everything you're saying. So my question would be, like, my next thought would just be, so what would you say realistically is the amount of hours that while you're at your day job, if you had to add in all the things that you do, that yes, you might be able to do it more efficiently at home, or if you can do it just on your own time in a 1 hour block window a day or whatever, things like checking up with other content creators, checking email, like administrative type stuff that you can do at work. Right. How much, let's say you don't have your job tomorrow, how much hours do you think that stuff still takes per week from you? Would you guesstimate? You can go,
to be honest with you, I would say 1 hour a day. 1 hour a day. I spend a lot of time at work.
Yeah, extra research because you got nothing to do. Like
but it's not research. It's me watching Asmongold videos about the Johnny Depp case. That has nothing to do with my YouTube channel. I've been watching him since the whole trial started. That's all day long.
Why couldn't you be doing something for your channel instead of watching Asmongold?
I mean, sure. Like, again, this goes back to the efficiency thing. Like, okay, but what realistically could I do? Could I plan out videos? Sure. Could I be writing up some scripts, some notes on stuff? Sure, I could. But like, I'm not sitting at my day job all day long. Only thing I'm doing is doing YouTube
saying that.
Stuff. No, I'm saying
I don't think that.
No, I'm saying, so I would say about an hour, probably, maybe at good days, if I actually am like efficient in planning something out or trying to work on, my YouTube stuff, I'd probably say maybe 2 hours. But for the most part, it's like 1 hour of,
let's go low end.
Of replying to people on Discord, replying to some YouTube comments, and then potentially looking up some like game news or something. Outside of that, it's all leisure bull stuff. And so
5 hours a week.
Right. We'll say 5 hours.
Days,
right. Right.
So 5 hours a week. Okay. So all my point though is you also have to calculate that in to whatever you do. Even if it's only 5 hours, I'm just saying you got to calculate that in. So what that like means, if you look at it on a math standpoint, that means your 40 hours is 35. So if you replace it with something for 20, you're net gaining 15 hours. Because all I was saying was you still have some things.
But your hours aren't going away.
I know they're not going away, but if you're working at Target, for example, you're probably not going to have, or even a barista or whatever, like you're like one of these jobs, the jobs that what you're talking about, like a fill-in type job like that, typically are low knowledge jobs, low
Yeah,
skill
right.
work.
You're right. Yeah,
So
they're not aiding me.
the way that you're earning that money is not from a skill, it's from time.
Correct.
So typically, if you're working at something like a barista or Target, you're not going to have time during your shift to just stand there and do things like check email or comments. So it's not that I'm saying you're losing the time. Yes, 40 hours is still 40 hours. But my point is, if you leave the job you're at where you can do that stuff, even though it's only 5 hours a week, to a job where you can't, then that means that 5 hours you're going to have to do at home. So I'm just saying you're not gaining a net of an additional 40 hours per week by leaving that job. You're gaining an additional net of 35, then minus whatever other job you might have to. So I'm just saying that has to be calculated.
Correct. If I had to pick up another job, yes.
Correct.
That's
all I was saying.
My thing is, I don't think I'd have to pick up another job. I think I would just make it work. I think I would just make it work. I think I would. I think my brain would instantly go into the entrepreneur survival route where I would instantly know that the moment I quit my day job, I have to do this. There is no exception. My brain would instantly go into, there would be no more like, for instance, to give you an example, me chilling here, having this podcast episode, right? Like my brain would instantly be like, nope, got to be working on my YouTube stuff from X amount of time to X amount of time, because I need to make sure that I drop this video or this thing or whatever, to cover this thing to get more views, to get more revenue, to meet that mark. It's hard to explain, but like, I think that survival, I think that survival mentality, I guess, is hard to explain, but like, that's what I've always done prior to being married, prior to having a kid, right? Like when I was on my own, I never went without. I made it work. I needed money. I needed to buy, I needed to work. I needed, you know what I'm saying? Like it's always out there. And not only that, like in this mindset, I think that like like I said, again, going back to worst comes to worst, sure. Is it a mindless job? Is it something that I want to be doing? No. But if I had to, I would just regroup. I would go pick up a job and I'd regroup my thoughts,
because that's exactly what I'm literally doing in my life right now by doing DoorDash. Everyone's like, why are you doing DoorDash? You were operation. Like my wife's like, you could have just went and got another operations manager. Sure. If I want to work 50 hours a week to where I can't put the time. So I get it. I'm not arguing with you. I'm just saying, make sure you're looking at all the variables is all I'm saying, because how many times have you put your brain to the task of survival mode? You said you've done it your whole life. So maybe you have done it a lot, but I just know there's been times where yes, that survival mode has worked for me, but there's also times that, like you said, you can do everything right and it still don't work out. And I've had those times happen as well. So it has nothing to do with a lack of like, oh, I don't think you could do this, Cody. It has to do with more of, like you said, sometimes you can do it all right and it still doesn't work. So my thought just is where you're at in even 2 years or even 3 years of doing YouTube, like in our brain, we're always, I think as visionaries, you're planning for the future. So your brain thinks, at least I know mine does, and I guess I'm just assuming here, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm assuming your brain's trying to make plays years down the line. And what I mean by that is you're trying to make the best decision of what you know is going to be good long-term. You're trying to find the long-term good like when you do something, you're like, how do I want to set up my YouTube channel? How do I want to set, not necessarily like you might choose a shortcut, but you get what I'm saying, or does that make sense? Or
yes, correct.
Okay, like you're not like a short-term thinker, like how can I make my YouTube channel make the most money in the next 5 days? You're thinking like, how can I grow this sustainably to become a career, to become a still want it to grow continuously. Both. Right, but I'm saying when you make a decision for your business, you try to make that decision on what's going to be best for the long term. Not what's going to be best for the moment.
Correct.
So at the end of the day, I just think you have a cushy situation, and I just think you should take advantage of it as long as you can. I just don't think there's that big of a rush. I know that's all you think about and it's all you want to do, but even if you do it, it's still going to be all you think about and all you want to do.
And I know that, but to be honest with you, D, the problem is that like I'm trying to do something that I love as a career, and I've never experienced that. Same. I didn't go into graphic design because that's what I've always was destined to do and wanted to do, or that I love to do it. I didn't go to college because that's what I wanted to do. I have always in my entire life just lived the way everybody's supposed to live, the way it's supposed to flow, in the sense of what everybody feeds you and the world feeds you, where like, society feeds you. You go to high school, you're supposed to go to college, you're supposed to major into something, get a career in it, get a wife, have a kid, buy a house, eventually upgrade a second house, maybe have another kid. Boom, once you hit that point, save up enough money to where when you pass away and die, your expenses are paid or your debt's paid off by the end of by the time you die. Boom, you retire at the normal retirement age, and then you just live that life. That's what I've been sold my entire life. That's not what I want. Like, I have realized in doing YouTube, the way the society is, the remote from home stuff, I have just come to the understanding, like, that's what I want. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to go to work every day for 40 hours a week doing this at a job that I give two shits about. I don't care about it. I don't care about the people. I don't care about the job. Is it cushy? Sure, it's cushy. Would people die to have that job? Absolutely. But I don't want to go sit there for 40 hours. I would rather use that time, use that motivation, use that creativity, give myself back that 40 hours, do whatever I want for 40 hours, whatever the amount of money I need to make to still support my wife and my living right now, but then yet at the same time have that freedom. My son, when he gets older, he gets into sports, or if daycare calls and you to go pick him up, like, I would be able to do that. I am getting limited at my job and I can't do that. I only get so many days off. I only get so much time off. Then they're bitching and they're griping. Like, I'm tired of doing that shit. That's not what I want to do.
I get it. I mean, that's exactly what I'm trying to do with my life.
Right. The difference is my YouTube channel on great months has produced almost $10,000. And then on shitty months, it's producing $2,000. So in my brain, if I'm looking at like, I need $3,000, which is not the case, but if I needed $3,000 a month, my brain is telling me, why in the am I doing this day job every single day? If I can just make $1,000 extra on top of the $2,000 that I make doing what the I want to do, then I don't need this other fucking job. That's the way my mind is telling me. And I am prepared mentally to say in a month or now or two working from home or trying this, a month or 2 months, if it's not panning out, if I'm not making $3,000, I'm prepared to say, okay, let's go back to the drawing board. What's going on here? Okay, it's not working out as I panned it out to be. All right, what are my options? Well, I can start freelancing graphic design stuff because that's what I went to school for. I could go get a part-time job at pretty much any no-brain place.
DoorDash,
right? That
like
right.
The nice thing about that is you can make your own schedule.
Right. DoorDash, Uber, Lyft, I could get into doing something like that. Secondly, I got a confirmation from Ron, my woodworking guy that does type of working. He said he would be more than willing for me to work part-time for him, do woodworking, So in my brain, I think about all of those things. And I think that like, I've got all these options. Worst comes to worst, like I could do all these other things to make income that I need to live.
Are all of those better than your current situation, you think? Like,
but what do you mean by better?
Let's say in 6 months you had to go get a job at Target. Let's say you couldn't get DoorDash. I don't know. Like, I'm just giving a specific example.
I'm listening.
You have to go because you mentioned Target. You have to go to get a job after 6 months at Target. Let's say 20 to 25 hours, like part-time, 20, 25 hours a week. Okay. Consistently or whatever.
Okay.
And that just puts you at break even, like with your money, like wherever you're saying you need to be. So you're not like making extra money. You're you're at your spot. At that point where you're having to go into Target every day to work those 20 to 25 hours, would you say that would be better than where you're at today? And would you say that would be the better job than the job you're at today?
It's not comparing.
Hours,
it's not
just because it's less hours.
Correct. Because then I'd have all that freedom to do what I wanted to do with those extra hours. So for instance, if that would be YouTube,
but what if the job's more mind numbing and you hate working at Target? I was like,
but why would I? I've worked retail. It's mindless jobs. As you said, it's not hard.
I'm just asking. I don't know.
You stock shelves. I put headphone in one ear and I sit there and stock shelves.
I mean, this was the shit that went through my mind when I was thinking about it. It was like, well, what if I hate working at Target? Or my thought was like, well, what if I hate DoorDash? Or for me specifically. But then it was like, oh wait, DoorDash, it's not bad. It's mindless work. But I can do shit in between. I can so I'm just wondering how much you've actually thought it through.
I mean, there's always that trade-off. I mean, like my job is
it's easy to be like it's all going to work out. But I'm just
Right.
wondering how much thought you've actually given to it. And I
Right.
guess it's not that I'm not saying, hey, don't do this. It's that I'm saying, have you given it sufficient thought? As a friend, I guess, like, it's
Well,
not that I'm trying to talk you out of it. It's just that I'm trying to make sure that as my friend, you've thought about it well.
Well, let me put it to you this way. I've talked to 4 other people, and my thought process has always been what you're telling me right now. No, it's not the right time. No, I need $18,000 saved into my account to get me by if I had to go without a job for 6 months if everything was to come failing. No, I want to make sure my YouTube channel gets, $6,000 a month, double what I make, at my day job in order for me to feel comfortable enough, to leave that job. I mean, to do YouTube full time because, payment does fluctuate. Like, my brain tells me all of those things. My brain tells me, yep, my truck is on its last leg, right? Eventually it's going to die, eventually, right? I don't know. It could be this year, it could be 5 years from now. Either way, it's a 99 Dodge. I know that someday I'm going to have to replace it and buy a car. That's going to be another expense. My brain tells me all these things, but at the same time, again, I'm trying to finesse myself into understanding, is that what I need? Like, do I really want that? Or is that what my brain tells me is safe and what's comfortable and what is the better foolproof plan long-term versus what I really want today? And the reason why I'm arguing with myself with this is because when I talk to 4 other people or 5 other people, friends of, they're all friends of mine, but when I talk to them, they're the ones bringing up all these other points. They're the ones bringing up, like, have you thought about this? And then talking to friends and everything and other people that, whether they are done YouTube or haven't done YouTube or whatever, but like, I'm just at a point now where it's just like they're telling me these other things, and then it made me think about that side of stuff. It's like, they're right. What is the worst case scenario? I mean, worst case scenario is, okay, this doesn't work out. I tried doing YouTube full time for 2 months or a month. We burn through some of our savings, burn through what money I have in my YouTube, account. I do all these things, and then I just deem at that point, I go back to the drawing board and I start at ground zero, and I just say, okay, do I want to continue doing YouTube? What's going on? Is it not gaining money? Did I drop in? You know what I'm saying? Like, I would revisit everything, and then I would come up with another game plan, whether that's going to be I work only part-time like you've done, like with DoorDash or another job, or do I maybe do I go work for Ron part-time, right? Maybe my second channel turns into or changes and I do a channel on woodworking with him, so I'm there making money as part-time, but I'm also doing woodworking videos. Maybe that eventually, in my brain, I'm thinking, what is the worst case scenario? Sure, I could paint you a worse picture. That'd be something happens to me and my wife and we can't work and we got no income. Like, I get that, but
that's uncontrollable.
You can't, right.
You can't. That's why I'm not a fan of the whole luck thing that we've talked about before. Right. It's uncontrollable shit. But anyways, dude, that all makes sense. Number one, I guess that we've never had a talk like this. I don't feel like where it's gotten this, I don't know if deep's the right word or open or whatever, but It's shocking because actually, like, a lot of what you're explaining is a lot of what I just went through. And I guess I never realized you were going through that same Mine was a little different because I lost my job unexpectedly, but I had money saved up. I was like, I'm going to try this. It didn't work for me. So I did have to go get the part-time job, which is the DoorDash thing. Doing that and like had to revisit the drawing board, now trying to split the channels, which, I mean, I think that's all of us all the time, is we're constantly trying to make it better. But it's just interesting that it seems like we're both very much on the same path currently in regards to that. And I guess I just didn't realize it. I don't know if you did already or not, or
no.
I don't know.
I mean,
it just seems more
like
similar than I realized, I guess.
I mean, I did. Yeah, it definitely is. It definitely is. I mean, I guess the only difference, and not to put you down anyway, but I guess the only difference is that my channel is a lot bigger than yours in the sense of like viewership. Yeah. So that was the only difference or reason why I was able to not look at your situation as like I'm just going to also lose.
Yeah. And I didn't mean it like that. Like that. Oh, you're not gonna make. Mine, like I said, mine came because of an unexpected job loss. So it wasn't a planned, hey, let's go ahead and try this. It was more like, if it was more planned right now, which would probably be where I'd be thinking about quitting that job that I had, where I'd be starting, because like now that I'm starting to see my revenue increase again, I'm splitting the channel. I feel like the quality's there, like things I feel like are more at a place where I would actually start considering full-time, or at least giving full-time YouTube a shot. If that, but obviously today that opportunity isn't there for me, so I'm doing
right. But I get what you're saying.
Yeah, so we're at a different thing. You're getting to choose when to leave your job. Mine, COVID. so
Right.
so it's a little bit different, but I agree with all that. So just to wrap this up, running short on time, obviously, I think we should definitely revisit it. It's an interesting topic. Nonetheless, this is an interesting story arc in the lives of Derek and Kodations and the podcast. So whether it works and everything goes exactly according to plan and you become full-time YouTube and you quit your job and like you're doing it and it's working and like hell yes, I mean that's what I hope, obviously, as your friend. Then like that's gonna be awesome. We're gonna get to see that unfold and then we'll get to show other people like, hey, you could do this too, like, which is really cool. Or B, like it does go the south route. You had to pick up a secondary job, but then that just adds another layer to the story, baby. So then like then when you are successful, it's like, oh dude, I was chugging along. I thought I had it, man. I quit my job. I went full-time running. It tanked, man. I had to go get a job at Target. I say it makes me feel better if I say Target instead of Target because I feel a little fancier that I had to go work at Target instead of Target. But here I am now in my like, you know what I'm saying? Like it just makes an interesting story. Either way it goes. So I'm excited. So the only requirement is whether it goes good or bad. You just had to continue sharing the.
We just have to continue doing the pod. If nothing else, I could be homeless in a box recording a podcast episode at the free public library. If nothing else,
if it ever got to that point, I think we would be successful as podcasters, just because that would be a pretty interesting story, and I think people would be like, "What the happened to this guy?"
Bro, why is he on the street, dude? He's divorced from his wife. He doesn't ever see his kids. He's got zero money. He lives in a box, nothing to his name. But this guy is super famous and he talks like he's been doing content for years. But nobody's ever heard of this Jimmy Jimster. Like, what is going on here?
Exactly.
Yeah, that would be pretty wild. And maybe then we would be famous.
I think so. I honestly think at that point we would have had to be doing it so long and the story would be so interesting of us trying to make it that the universe would just have to give us sympathy points at that point.
Right. It makes sense.
All right, brother.
Anyways,
tell everybody where they can find you as always. If
everybody can find me at Kodations.com. It's the fastest way. It's the quickest link to all of my stuff. Otherwise, you can do, what is it? The link tree /Kodations as well. I've got that kind of set up and it's got, additional stuff that my website doesn't have on there that you can access. But essentially, that's where they can find me. What about you, D?
OMG, it's Derek.com. Links to everything there. Podcasts, vlogs, videos, Snapchat, Twitter, LinkedIn. I don't even use half those sites, but there's a profile on them.
There's a
so
profile.
Go follow it. All right.
Perfect.
Till next time. Peace.
See you later.